Halt! Not so fast.
State your business.
Here, shake my hand, mate. That's the funniest one I've heard all week.
Clear off, will ya? We haven't got time for this kind of nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
What's that? You want to show that pendant to the king, you say?
Do you mind waiting here a minute?
Ever so sorry for that little misunderstanding. Please, go right on through. His Majesty's waiting for you.
That will be quite close enough. Welcome to Heliodor Castle, friend.
The Jewel of Dundrasil. You are bold indeed to have made your way here alone, wanderer. I am Carnelian, ruler of Heliodor. How long have I waited for this day? And now, finally, we meet. Truly, it is an honor. The fact that you come here proffering the jewel and asking to speak with me personally would suggest that you know something of your true nature. I take it that you also bear the mark? Yes, the mark of light. Then there is no doubt. You are he. Rejoice, dear subjects. The day is upon us at last. The luminary walks among us once more. Tell me, O Luminary, where exactly is it that you hail from? I would so very much like to pay tribute to those who took you in and raised you. I see. Cobblestone, you say?
I do, my liege. A village of provincial nobles deep in the rocky south.
Then I take it you know what to do. Do not disappoint me.
Yes, my liege.
Accursed luminary! I know not what your intent was in coming here alone, but whatever your wicked scheme, know that it shall not succeed!
Hendrik, take this cur, this harbinger of calamity, and cast him into the furthest corner of the dungeon. Know this. The Luminary is the root of all evil and will bring naught but misery to our realm. And why is this? The reason is simple. Just as light is intertwined with darkness, so too is the Luminary intertwined with the dread Lord of Shadows. His coming heralds the resurrection of the Dark One.
Did you really think you could fool one as wise as His Majesty? It was your great misfortune to confront one who knows your true nature. Men, seize this wretch! You claim to hail from Cobblestone. Well, before the sun has set 3 times, we shall know the truth. By then, Jasper will have returned from his investigation. If I were you, Darkspawn, I would not expect to live beyond that day.
Will you keep it down in there? Most folks they throw in here have the decency to wait a while before going stir crazy. What are you in for, anyhow? You don't get free bed and board down here without having done something pretty bad. Wait, did you say the Luminary? You're serious? You're telling me the Luminary has just shown up in the cell next to mine? This is crazy.
One plate of delicious gruel for the gentleman in the dungeon suite.
The Luminary. You're serious? So it's all happening just like the seer said it would. We'd better get out of here. Huh? Wait here. Don't worry, I didn't kill him. But he won't be waking up anytime soon. Things will get pretty hairy up ahead. Oh, and I found this in a corner of it. Me? We better get out of here before any... I spend ages digging this hole, and you just happen to show up the day I finish it? Guess I really was meant to help you out. Anyway, there'll be time... The sewers, huh? Well, there must be a way out somewhere.
There they are! You lot, over here!
Damn it! Another one bites the dust. guys don't give up, do they? Seriously? You okay? And that looks like a way out. Maybe our luck's about to change. Wait, there's something there. If we stand and fight, we're dead. Let's get the heck out of here. Well, here goes nothing. Whew. I think we gave it the slip. Huh? I spoke too soon. Has it gone? Whew. That was way too close for comfort. What's that thing doing under the castle, anyway? Uh-oh.
There he is! The Darkspawn!
Me and my big mouth. Looks like our luck finally ran out.
There they are! We've got them now.
No. If they catch us, we're dead meat.
Hold!
Let's do this. I believe in you. I believe in the Luminary. I don't have much choice.
Come on! Let's not do anything stupid now.
The name's Eric, by the way. Wake up, lazy bones! Come on, up you get! Finally! I was worried we'd lost you for a minute there. You've been out cold ever since we jumped. Had to drag you all the way here on my own. But what a jump it was. I closed my eyes, put my faith in the Luminary, and somehow didn't get smashed into 1,000 pieces. In fact, I woke up on the forest floor at the bottom of the cliff without a scratch on me. Anyway, I guess you and me must be at the top of the King of Heliodor's most wanted list by now. Which means we can't hang around here too long. Let's go say thanks to the nun who looked after us and be on our way.
Ah, there you are, my children. I trust that your friend here is fully recovered.
Oh, don't worry about him. He's just fine. Thanks for looking out for us. We owe you one.
Not at all, dear. I'm just happy to see you both well again. It seems some dangerous criminals have escaped from the capital.
Criminals, you say? Dear me, that doesn't sound good.
I did indeed, my child. There were guards everywhere. They are searching high and low for the villains. And I heard that the mighty knight Sir Hendrik himself has headed to the mountains in the south with his troops. Oh, but you must forgive me, poor lambs. I did not mean to alarm you. They will soon be caught, I am sure. Justice will be done.
Thanks. We appreciate that. We're going to get a little fresh air. We have a few things to discuss. Cobblestone, eh? I'm guessing you want to go see what's happening down there. But you need to be smart. You won't get past Hendrik unnoticed. If you're going to make it there without getting caught, you'll need to avoid the main road. And if you want to do that, you'll need my help. But I've got things to take care of in Heliodor first. I left a little something in one of my old haunts downtown, and I need to get it back. So, are you coming along for the ride? I did help you break out of that dungeon, remember? That's the spirit. But we can't have you bringing us any unwanted attention. Here, put this on and keep your face hidden. Otherwise... Ha! That's more like it. Glad you're coming along. The seer told me to stick with the luminary when I found him, and... How's it going? Another one bites the dust. Welcome to downtown Heliodor. Oh, about a year ago, me and Dirk, my partner in crime, managed to, They got wise and pulled me in eventually. But not before we'd stashed it somewhere safe so we could pick it up later. Right down there is the biggest, stinkingest garbage pile in all of Heliodor. After all, no one would ever think of looking for it there. We're criminal geniuses, I tell you. Time to go liberate that loot. This is the spot. Keep a lookout, okay? Now, it's definitely here. I'm 1,000% sure. You gotta be kidding me. Me and Dirk were the only ones who knew where it was. Wait a minute. That rat! He must have done the dirty on me and taken it for himself. Damn it! I should have known! A thieving little... Wait till I get my hands on it. I'm gonna find him. And you're gonna help me. Okay. The inn we used to crash at is just over there. Come on. It's the only one with an upstairs. You can't miss it. This whole place hasn't changed a bit. Ruby? Ruby, you there? It's me, Eric. There's something I need to ask you. Ruby runs the place. Looks like she's not around, but if anyone knows where Dirk is, it's her. Which means we'll have to go find her. So here's the plan. There's a tower they use to look out for fires. You're going to climb up there and keep an eye out for Ruby. I'll check a couple of other spots.
Get out of here! Go on!
way?
Can't find Ruby. You saw her heading back? Well, if it isn't my favorite landlady.
Welcome to our humble... Strike a light! If it ain't me favourite little tea leaf! Last I heard, they'd locked you up and thrown away the key! Hang about. You've gone and escaped, ain't ya? You and your friend here are the fugitives everyone's talking about! Well, I know not to stick me big nose in where it ain't wanted. You always did like to sail close to the wind.
Don't worry, I won't be here long. I just need to know where Dirk is. Have you seen him?
Dirk, eh? Now there's a name I ain't heard in a while. Didn't he open some fancy shop up by the castle? Yeah, that was it. Raking in the cashiers, or so they say.
That can't be right. The rent up there is crazy. Where would he find the money? Wait a second. He sold it, didn't he? The rat sold the damned orb.
Look, in this part of town, you don't go asking too many questions. You know that. If you want more, you'll have to get it from the horse's mouth.
You're right. Thanks, Ruby. I appreciate it. We'll get out of your hair. That no-good traitor! I'll bet he sold me out and sold the orb. And all... We'll need to get past that sentry if we're gonna head uptown and find him. Wait, isn't he...